Part 1. Who governs here? 1. Now, 1 year later. 5 degrees south, 52 degrees, 50 minutes east. Indian Ocean, 700 miles off the East African coast. En route, Mahé, Seychelles Islands, to Mombasa, Kenya. The super yacht Tarantula was making 18 knots between the Seychelles Islands and Mombasa. Built on a Courtenaire-class frigate's hull, she had a warship's profile. A high bow, a clean sweep to a low stern, and a strikingly graceful superstructure by Parisian designer Jacques Thomas, famous for resurrecting the fluid curves of the Art Nouveau in bent glass and carbon fiber reinforced epoxy. She was pointing west, burnished bright and shining by the sunset. Seen from a low-slung skiff, racing flat out on a course to intercept, Tarantula appeared to skim the surface of the Indian Ocean like a fiery dragonfly. A crew of 20 men and women attended the fully automated ship, her middle-aged owner, Alan Adler, and Adler's guests. She carried 2 helicopters, each painted gold, with Adler's initials emblazoned red on its tail boom. A 10-place Sikorsky S-76D on a pad amidships, and a light turbine 5-place Bell Ranger on the foredeck. 2 20-passenger high-speed tenders were cradled at the stern in a well deck, which was a bay that could be flooded in order to launch the boats. Also sharing the well deck was a 53-foot blue-water sloop, an ocean passage Nautor Swan that would make a millionaire proud. Night was falling quickly as it did so near the equator. 5 of Adler's guests, a former fashion model, a retired United Nations diplomat and his wife, and a New York real estate agent and her husband, gathered for cocktails to watch the sun set from a forward lounge under the steering bridge. The 6th, Allegra Helms, a 30-year-old Italian countess with pale blue eyes and long blonde hair, joined their host on the bridge itself, a spacious, glass-enclosed eyrie with views in 4 directions of the darkening sea. Adler was trying to impress her by driving the yacht. To demolish his expectations of a hookup, she had packed an outfit that her mother would have bought from Valentino's resort collection. Monastically simple high-waisted white linen yachting slacks with a boat-neck blouse, and an Hermes scarf, screen-printed with her family device in a pattern so minute that only a cousin or an ancient enemy would recognize it. A round German stewardess in a short, tight skirt brought a tray of marinated shrimp and sea scallops. She returned with a champagne bucket, opened a bottle of Cristal with quiet efficiency, and poured 2 glasses. "That's all," Adler said, patting her behind. "Out of here. You too, Captain Billy," he told the officer watching the instrument cluster that surrounded the auto helm. Allegra Helms was kicking herself for accepting a last-minute invitation from a man she had known only through a mutual acquaintance. Now she was trapped in the middle of the ocean on a boat full of boring strangers. She could dodge the other guests, but there was no escaping their host, who just would not shut up about his money and his fucking yacht. "Biggest in the world, 460 feet, 3,550 tons. And I had her teched up so I can drive her with a smartphone app." Adler swigged champagne, indicating with a nod that Allegra should help herself, and resumed his monologue with a joke she had heard twice at dinner the night they sailed. "I don't know what I'm paying the captain for." An alarm sounded, a staccato chirp. Allegra saw the captain's eyes shoot to the radar monitor, and she noticed an orange dot flare briefly. Adler brushed past him and flipped a switch to mute the noise that was interrupting his delivery. "I can run this baby from the middle of Kansas. Captain Billy, what am I paying you for?" Allegra glanced at the captain, a sun-polished symphony of curly chestnut hair and Viking cheekbones. Speaking of hookups, if she were considering one, which she was not with her husband meeting her in Mombasa, and never ever when trapped on a boat. "You could run her from the middle of Kansas," Billy Titus answered with an affable smile as he fiddled the radar's controls. "You pay me so you don't have to." Allegra laughed. Adler glared. "Fact is, I pay him a bonus to save on fuel, and I fine him when he wastes it. Isn't that right, Captain Billy?" "Yes, sir." "Go grab a bite. The Countess and I'll run the ship. Keep an eye on the radar." Get out of here. I mean it, sir. If you see pirates...